The vast emptiness of space lit up with strange lights as the alien ships appeared near Earth's moon. Humanity held its breath, watching through telescopes and digital feeds as the first contact between Earth and the Stellar Alliance began. The Alliance ships were beautiful, their hulls shimmering like pearls in sunlight. They came in peace, they said, representing 7 different alien species who had formed a coalition centuries ago. Earth's leaders gathered at the United Nations to meet them. "We bring greetings from the stars," said the Alliance ambassador, a tall being with silvery skin. His translator device converted his musical language into simple English. The human delegates watched in wonder as he showed them holograms of countless worlds and civilizations. In the following months, things moved quickly. Trade agreements were signed. The Alliance offered advanced technology in exchange for Earth's unique art, music, and culture. They seemed fascinated by human creativity, something they said was rare in the galaxy. Among the millions of families watching these events unfold were the Andersons. They lived in a small town in Colorado, where Tom Anderson worked as an engineer. His wife Kate was a teacher, and their daughter Mary spent her days drawing pictures of the aliens she saw on TV. "Do you think we'll ever meet them, Dad?" Mary asked one evening, her blue eyes wide with excitement as she drew another picture of an Alliance ship. Tom smiled at his 8-year-old daughter. "Maybe sooner than you think, sweetheart." He was right. When the Alliance offered Earth the chance to build its first off-world colony, the Andersons were among the families chosen to go. They would help establish New Hope, humanity's first colony near Alliance space. The colony ship was massive, carrying 5,000 people to their new home. Mary pressed her face against the viewport, watching Earth shrink behind them. Her parents stood nearby, holding hands and dreaming of their new life. New Hope was beautiful. The planet had 2 suns, one blue, one golden, and 3 moons that painted the night sky in different colors. The air was clean, the gravity slightly lighter than Earth's, and the Alliance helped build comfortable homes for everyone. Mary loved her new school, where alien children sometimes visited to learn about humans. She made friends with some of them, teaching them to play hopscotch and draw with crayons. The alien children taught her their games too, though some were impossible with human legs. The colony grew quickly. Within 6 months, farms were producing food, the school was full of laughing children, and everyone felt safe under the Alliance's protection. Trade ships visited regularly, bringing news from Earth and taking back stories of success. "This is everything we dreamed of," Kate said one evening, watching Mary play in their garden. The girl was trying to catch the glowing insects that came out at night, her laughter echoing in the alien air. Tom nodded, putting his arm around his wife. A new beginning for humanity. A chance to prove ourselves among the stars. Neither of them knew that far away, in a dark corner of Alliance space, danger was brewing. A group of Alliance extremists watched the human colony with growing hatred, planning something that would change everything. The golden sun set, the blue one followed, and the 3 moons rose over New Hope. For now, peace reigned, and Mary Anderson slept safely in her bed, dreaming of her next adventure in this new world. The attack came during school hours. No one saw the unmarked ships until they were already in New Hope's atmosphere. They weren't the familiar pearl white of Alliance vessels. These were dark and angular, like knives cutting through the sky. Mary Anderson sat in her classroom, learning about Earth's history, when the first explosion shook the building. Her teacher, Mr. Smith, ran to the window. His face went white. "Everyone to the shelter," he shouted, but it was too late. The dark ships fired again. Green beams of light cut through the school's protective dome like it was paper. Alarms blared. Children screamed. The air began to hiss as it escaped into space. Tom Anderson was at the colony's engineering center when the attack began. He ran toward the school, his heart pounding. Other parents did the same, all of them racing against time as the colony's atmospheric shields failed section by section. Kate Anderson, teaching in another building, tried calling Mary's classroom. No answer. She fought against the crowd of panicking people, trying to reach her daughter. The attackers were methodical. They targeted the schools first, then the hospitals, then the environmental systems. They didn't send any messages or demands. They simply destroyed. Colony security fought back with everything they had. Their small defense ships, meant for protecting against space debris and natural threats, were no match for the advanced weapons of the attackers. Help is coming. The colony governor announced over the emergency system. Alliance forces are on their way. But help came too late. By the time Alliance warships arrived, New Hope was in ruins. The attackers disappeared as quickly as they had come, leaving behind a colony gasping for air and counting its dead. Tom found Kate in the wreckage of the school. They searched together, calling Mary's name. They found Mr. Smith's body near the shelter entrance. He had died trying to save his students. Beyond him lay the classroom, exposed to space, empty except for scattered books and frozen drawings on the walls. The final count was devastating. 312 people dead. 78 of them were children. Mary Anderson's name was on the list. When the Alliance investigators arrived, they identified the attackers as the Pure Space Movement, a radical group that believed humans were a threat to galactic purity. They had attacked without authorization, breaking countless Alliance laws. "We will find them," the Alliance commander promised the survivors. "Justice will be done." But days passed, then weeks. The Pure Space Movement hid in the vast emptiness between stars. The Alliance Council argued about responses and penalties. Some members even suggested that the humans had somehow provoked the attack. News of the massacre reached Earth. People watched in horror as images of the destroyed colony filled their screens. They saw Tom and Kate Anderson standing at a memorial service, placing Mary's favorite stuffed rabbit among the flowers. The Alliance's weak response angered Earth's leaders. The poor excuses, the political delays, the failure to capture the killers, it all added up to one thing. The Alliance didn't take humanity seriously. That was their biggest mistake. In a secret facility deep under the Pacific Ocean, Earth's leaders gathered. They looked at the pictures of the dead children. Then they made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. "Enough," said Earth's president. "It's time to show them what humanity can do." Deep within a hidden base carved into the Rocky Mountains, Commander Jack Thompson stood before Earth's United Military Council. The screens behind him showed technical diagrams so advanced they seemed impossible. "Project Nemesis isn't just a warship," he explained, his voice steady. "It's humanity's answer to a galaxy that thinks we're weak." The room was silent as he showed them the plans. A ship the size of a small planet, built using technology reverse-engineered from Alliance trade ships and combined with human innovation. The location: inside Jupiter itself, using the gas giant's massive resources. "We'll convert Jupiter's mass directly into materials we need," Thompson continued. "The Alliance thinks their matter conversion technology is advanced. We've improved it by 400%. The construction began immediately. Earth diverted 80% of its resources to the project. Every nation contributed their best scientists and engineers. They worked in shifts, 24 hours a day, building something the galaxy had never seen." Thompson walked through the shipyards floating in Jupiter's atmosphere, watching robots the size of cities assemble massive sections of the hull. The ship's weapons were unlike anything ever created. Gravity guns that could tear planets apart, shields that could absorb the energy of a dying sun. "How long until it's ready?" asked the project director, watching workers install the main reactor. 6 months, Thompson replied. "We're using time dilation fields to speed up construction in key areas. The Alliance won't know what hit them." Inside the ship's growing hull, engineers installed the AI core. It wasn't just a computer. It was powered by copies of human minds, volunteers who gave their consciousness to make Nemesis smarter than any Alliance ship. The weapons testing began in Jupiter's storm systems. Each success made the workers cheer. They installed gravity engines that could move planets, shields that bent space itself, and armor made of artificial neutron star matter. Thompson chose his crew carefully. Each person had lost someone in the colony attack. Their training was brutal, but none complained. They learned to operate systems that made Alliance technology look like children's toys. "We built this ship for one purpose," Thompson told his crew during their final briefing. "To show the galaxy that humanity's children are not to be harmed." The day Nemesis was completed, it filled half of Jupiter's atmosphere. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing all light. The weapons were hidden beneath smooth armor, but they were there, enough firepower to destroy solar systems. In the memorial hall, at the heart of the ship, they hung pictures of every child killed in the attack. Mary Anderson's photo was in the center, her smile frozen in time, her stuffed rabbit in her arms. Thompson stood at the command center, looking at the main screen. Behind him, 10,000 crew members worked at their stations. The ship hummed with power drawn from an artificial dimension. "Nemesis is ready," reported his second-in-command. Thompson nodded. He thought of the colony children, of Mary's parents still grieving on Earth, of the Alliance's failure to act. His voice was cold when he gave the order. "Begin emergence sequence. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you kill a human child." The largest ship ever built began to rise through Jupiter's clouds, ready to deliver humanity's response. The Alliance Council was meeting on their capital world when the message arrived. Just 3 words, transmitted in every known language. "You killed children." The council members laughed. The human colony attack was old news, a minor incident in their view. Some even joked about Earth's primitive technology. Then their sensors detected something emerging from Jupiter. At first, they thought their instruments were broken. Nothing could be that big. "Impossible," whispered the Alliance High Commander, watching the feed. They couldn't have. But they had. Nemesis rose from Jupiter's storms like a dark god awakening. The ship was bigger than Mercury, its black hull swallowing light. As it emerged, it did something that made every Alliance scientist watching scream in terror. It absorbed one of Jupiter's moons for fuel. The entire moon simply vanished, pulled apart at the atomic level and converted to energy. Nemesis' power level surged. "Send ships to investigate," ordered the Alliance Council leader, "but keep them at a safe distance." The Alliance observation ships approached carefully. Their scanners couldn't penetrate Nemesis's hull. They transmitted questions, demands, threats. Nemesis ignored them all. Commander Thompson stood on his bridge, watching the Alliance ships buzz around like flies. His crew worked silently, efficiently, preparing for what was to come. "Sir," called his weapons officer, "the nearest Alliance ship is scanning us with military frequencies." Thompson smiled. "Show them what a warning shot looks like." Nemesis fired a single graviton beam. It missed the Alliance ship by 1,000 miles. The beam continued traveling until it hit an empty asteroid. The asteroid didn't explode. It imploded, crushed into a point smaller than a grain of sand. The energy release lit up space like a new sun. The Alliance ships retreated in panic. Their fastest ships, pride of their fleet, were sluggish compared to Nemesis's speed. The massive ship moved like something a fraction of its size. "Send the footage to every Alliance world," Thompson ordered. "Let them see what's coming." Across Alliance space, billions watched in fear as Nemesis demonstrated its power. The ship that shouldn't exist. The ship built by primitive humans. In the council chamber, panic spread. They remembered how they had dismissed Earth's demands for justice, how they had ignored the grieving parents, how they had failed to punish the murderers of children. "We should negotiate," suggested one council member. "Too late," said another, watching as Nemesis changed course. "They're not here to negotiate." The ship's destination became clear: the Alliance's largest military base, the same base that had failed to protect the human colony. On Nemesis's memorial deck, Thompson stood before Mary Anderson's picture. He touched the frame gently. "We remember," he whispered. Then he returned to the bridge. The Alliance's attempts to contact Earth were met with silence. Their offers of reparations went unanswered. Their threats were ignored. Nemesis continued forward, unstoppable, a planet-sized monument to humanity's rage. The message was clear. The galaxy had broken the wrong species' heart. The real demonstration of power was about to begin. Nemesis appeared above the Alliance military base like a second moon. The base, spanning half a continent, housed 10,000 ships and 1 million soldiers. Its defenses had never been breached in 10,000 years. Commander Thompson stood calmly as Alliance ships surrounded Nemesis. They looked tiny, like stars against a black sky. "This is your only chance," Thompson transmitted. "Surrender those responsible for the colony attack. You have 1 hour." The Alliance commander's response was quick. "You dare threaten us? We have 10,000 ships. You have 1. Count again," Thompson said softly. Nemesis's hull shifted. What looked like solid sections split apart, revealing launch bays bigger than cities. 5,000 human fighters emerged, each one more advanced than anything the Alliance had. Still, the Alliance commander laughed. "Even with those, you're outnumbered 2 to 1. Numbers," Thompson said, "aren't everything." The battle began. Alliance ships fired their best weapons: plasma beams, quantum torpedoes, dark matter bombs. They hit Nemesis's shields and vanished. The shields didn't just block the attacks, they absorbed them, growing stronger. Then Nemesis fired back. The first shot wasn't even a weapon. It was a gravity pulse that turned space itself into a weapon. 2,000 Alliance ships found themselves suddenly weighing as much as stars. They crumpled like paper toys. "That was 5% power," Thompson transmitted. "Shall we try 10? The human fighters moved with impossible speed, their pilots linked directly to their ships through neural interfaces. Alliance fighters, previously considered the best in the galaxy, couldn't even track them on sensors. In the base below, soldiers watched in horror as their mighty fleet was torn apart. Nemesis weapons didn't just destroy ships, they erased them from existence. "How?" the Alliance commander demanded. "How did you build this?" "You should have asked that before killing our children," Thompson replied. The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, 9,000 Alliance ships were gone. The survivors fled in terror, their engines burning at maximum power. Nemesis turned its attention to the base. Its main weapon powered up, a cannon that fired a beam of concentrated spacetime. The beam hit the base's shields, the strongest in the Alliance. The shields held for exactly 2 seconds. When the light faded, the base wasn't destroyed. It was simply gone, along with 10 miles of planet beneath it. In its place was a perfect hemisphere carved out of the ground, its edges glowing with residual energy. Thompson sent one final message. That was a demonstration. Now, about those murderers. Across Alliance space, the news spread at light speed. Their greatest base, their proudest fleet, defeated in minutes by a single human ship. The species they had dismissed as primitive had built something beyond their comprehension. On Nemesis's bridge, Thompson looked at the tactical display. Signals showed Alliance ships fleeing every nearby system. Fear was spreading faster than light. "Sir," his communications officer called, "we're receiving thousands of messages. Many Alliance worlds are declaring neutrality. They're begging for mercy." Thompson nodded. "Tell them mercy is earned. Now track those colony attackers. The real hunt is about to begin." Nemesis turned away from the ruined base, its dark hull reflecting no light. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humanity's mercy had limits, but its revenge did not. The news of Nemesis' power spread through Alliance space like a wildfire. Bars on 1,000 worlds showed the footage of the battle on repeat. The perfect hemisphere carved from the military base's planet became the most viewed image in galactic history. They built it inside Jupiter, whispered aliens in fear. They hid it in plain sight. On the Alliance capital world, The council chamber was in chaos. Half the members had fled to distant worlds. Those who remained argued endlessly. "We should surrender everything," shouted one. "We should fight back," yelled another. "Fight back with what?" a third asked quietly. "Did you see what they did to our best fleet?" The Pure Space Movement, the group responsible for the colony attack, watched from their hidden base in a dark nebula. Their leader, who had ordered the murder of the children, felt fear for the first time. "Scatter the fleet," he ordered. "Hide our ships in different systems. They can't find us all." But he was wrong. Thompson stood on Nemesis's bridge, watching dots move on the tactical display. Each dot was a Pure Space Movement ship trying to hide. What they didn't know was that their own engines were betraying them. "Sir," reported the science officer, "the tracking program is working. Their engine signatures match the ones recorded during the colony attack. We can follow them anywhere." The Alliance worlds closest to Earth began declaring neutrality. They sent messages begging for peace, offering tribute, promising to help hunt down the killers. Worlds that had laughed at humanity now trembled at the sight of Nemesis's shadow. In the ship's memorial hall, the crew gathered during shift changes. They touched the pictures of the dead children, renewing their promise. The Alliance hadn't just killed children. They had awakened something that should have stayed sleeping. "Multiple targets detected," announced the tactical officer. 3 Pure Space Movement ships hiding in an asteroid field. "Show them what happens to child killers," Thompson ordered. Nemesis didn't need to fire its main weapons. It simply altered gravity around the asteroids. The massive rocks moved like guided missiles, crushing the hidden ships. The Pure Space Movement grew desperate. They tried to blend in with civilian traffic. They tried to hide in gas giants. They tried to run to the galaxy's edge. Nothing worked. One by one, their ships disappeared. Some were crushed into quantum particles. Others were torn apart by gravitational forces. A few simply vanished, pulled into artificial dimensions from which nothing returned. "Please," begged the movement's leader in a transmitted message. "We'll surrender. We'll accept punishment. Just call off that monster ship." Thompson played the message for his crew. In the background, they could hear the Pure Space Movement's officers panicking as Nemesis appeared on their scanners. "No deals," Thompson said. "No mercy." The hunt continued. Nemesis moved through space like a dark angel of vengeance. Its very presence caused panic. Ships fled at the sight of it. Planets increased their shields when it passed nearby. Finally, after 3 weeks of hunting, they found it. The main base of the Pure Space Movement. The killers had nowhere left to hide. "Battle stations," Thompson ordered. "Let's finish this." The Pure Space Movement's main base hung in the dark nebula like a wounded animal. Their last 50 ships formed a defensive line, but the crews were shaking with fear as Nemesis approached. "Look at them," Thompson said to his bridge crew. "So brave when killing children. So cowardly now." A transmission came from the base. The movement's leader appeared on screen, his alien features twisted with desperation. "Wait, we can explain everything," he begged. "The colony attack was a mistake. We never meant." "Show them the video," Thompson ordered. On every screen in the base, in every Pure Space Movement ship, the same footage played. Security recordings from the human colony. Children running in terror. The school collapsing. Mary Anderson's final moments as she tried to reach the shelter. "No more words," Thompson said. "No more excuses." Nemesis launched its fighters. The black swarm of human ships moved through space like a wave of darkness. The movement ships fired desperately, but couldn't hit the faster, more advanced vessels. "Sir," called the weapons officer. Main gun charged. Thompson raised his hand. "Not yet. Board their ships. I want them to see us up close." Human Marines, wearing powered armor that made Alliance battle suits look primitive, cut through the movement's ships like ghosts. Their armor let them walk through walls. ignore weapons fire, and move faster than alien eyes could follow. In the base, the movement's leader tried to delete files, erase evidence. A Marine materialized through the wall behind him. "Please," the leader begged. "I have wealth. Power. I can give you anything." The Marine's helmet retracted, showing the human face. "I'm from the colony. I lost my son in your attack." On Nemesis's bridge, Thompson opened a channel to all movement ships and the base. His voice was cold as space itself. "You thought we were weak. You thought we were primitive. You thought you could kill our children and hide in the dark. You were wrong." The Marines finished their work, gathering evidence, securing prisoners. The movement's leader was brought to Nemesis in chains, along with his top commanders. In the memorial hall, Thompson forced them to look at each child's picture, made them read each name, made them see what they had destroyed. "This is humanity's justice," Thompson said. "Remember it in whatever hell you believe in." Nemesis's main weapon powered up. Not at full strength. They didn't want to destroy the whole nebula. Just enough. The beam struck. The base and the remaining ships didn't explode. They imploded, crushed into a single point of light that quickly faded. Physics itself had condemned them to non-existence. Thompson looked at the empty space where the killers had been. "Send the recording to every world in Alliance space." The message was clear. Humanity's justice was absolute. The pure space movement was gone, erased so completely that only memories remained. In the memorial hall, the crew gathered again. They touched the pictures one last time. Mary Anderson's smile seemed a little brighter now. Justice had been served, but humanity's show of power was far from over. 1 month after the destruction of the pure space movement, the Alliance Council chamber was filled with tension. Nemesis floated above their capital world like a dark moon, its presence a constant reminder of humanity's power. The council leader stood before the gathered representatives of Earth. His voice shook as he read the official apology. "We failed humanity. We failed your children. Our inaction led to this tragedy, and we humbly beg forgiveness." Behind the Earth delegates sat Tom and Kate Anderson, Mary's parents. They had been chosen to represent all the families who had lost children in the attack. The new treaty was massive. It gave Earth equal status in the Alliance. Humans would have seats on every major council. Alliance technology would be shared freely. Most importantly, a new law was passed. Any attack on human children would be considered an act of war against the entire Alliance. "Sign it," Thompson commanded from Nemesis's bridge, his image displayed on the chamber's screens. The council members signed quickly. Their hands trembled as they pressed their seals into the document. They had learned what humanity could do when pushed too far. After the signing, a memorial service was held on the colony world. The ruined colony had been rebuilt, better and stronger than before. In its center stood a garden of crystal trees, each one containing the hologram of a child lost in the attack. Mary Anderson's tree stood in the center. Her image played among its branches, laughing, drawing, playing. Her stuffed rabbit sat in a protected case at the tree's base. Tom touched the crystal trunk, tears in its eyes. They remember her now. They all remember. Kate nodded, holding his hand. They'll never forget. None of them will. Above the garden, Nemesis cast its shadow. The ship had become more than a weapon. It was a symbol. Alliance children were taught about it in schools. Parents used it in bedtime stories. Be good or the human ship will come. The Alliance military was rebuilt, but differently. Human officers joined their ranks, teaching them new ways of thinking. Alliance ships were redesigned with human innovations. Together, they were stronger than either had been alone. Thompson walked through the memorial garden with his crew. They had become legends in both human and Alliance space. Songs were sung about them. Stories were told of their quest for justice. Was it worth it? His second-in-command asked, watching alien and human children playing together near the crystal trees. Thompson looked at Mary's hologram, then at the stars above. We showed them our strength, not just our weapons or technology. We showed them that humanity's love for its children is the deadliest force in the galaxy. The garden glowed as the system's twin suns set. Human and Alliance families walked together, reading the names, learning the stories. Peace had come at a terrible price, but it had come. Nemesis would remain, guarding humanity's worlds. Its dark hull would remind everyone of the price of harming human children. But it would also stand as proof that humans could build wonders as easily as weapons. As night fell, Mary's hologram smiled down at the visitors to her tree. In death, she had become a bridge between two civilizations. Her memory would ensure peace for generations to come. The galaxy had learned. Never again would someone kill a human child and expect to survive. 5 years after the Nemesis incident, the galaxy was a different place. The human colony, now named Hope's Memorial, had grown into a thriving city. Its towers reached into the purple sky, built with a mix of human and Alliance technology. Commander Thompson, now Admiral Thompson, stood on Nemesis' observation deck, watching ships come and go. Human vessels flew alongside Alliance craft, their crews working together. Below, the crystal garden had grown into a forest, each tree marking a lost child's memory. "Admiral," his aide called, "the celebration is about to begin." Today marked 5 years of peace. Representatives from every Alliance world had gathered to remember the past and celebrate the future. Among them were Tom and Kate Anderson. The Andersons had changed too. They now ran the Memorial Foundation, helping build schools across Alliance space. Each school had a picture of Mary and the other children, reminding everyone of the price of hatred. "Look at that," Tom said to Kate, pointing at a group of children playing near Mary's tree. Human kids played tag with young aliens, their laughter mixing in the alien air. None of them cared about species or politics. They were just children being children. Nemesis still patrolled human space, but its role had changed. While it remained the most powerful ship ever built, it now also carried scientists, explorers, and diplomats. Its huge halls hosted peace conferences. Its labs worked on cures for diseases that plagued both humans and aliens. The pure space movement was just a dark memory. Their name was used to scare bad children. "Eat your vegetables, or you'll end up like those pure space fools who angered the humans." In Alliance schools, teachers told the story differently now. They taught about humanity's great love for their children, about the ship built from a parent's grief, about justice that crossed the stars. The lesson was clear. Humans were not to be underestimated. Thompson walked through the crystal forest, touching each tree gently. The holograms of the children danced around him, their images preserved forever. Mary's hologram waved at him as he passed. "Do you ever regret building it?" Kate asked him during the celebration, looking up at Nemesis' dark hull. Thompson shook his head. "We built it from love, not hate. Love for our children. That's what makes it powerful." As the twin suns set, thousands gathered in the crystal forest. Human and alien children placed glowing flowers at the base of each tree. The flowers would bloom forever, never dying, just like the memories they honored. Mary's tree glowed brightest of all. Her hologram played with the alien children, teaching them to draw, showing them Earth games. Her stuffed rabbit, now a symbol of peace, had been copied millions of times. Every Alliance child had one. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's children were sacred, but they had learned something else too. Humans could create wonders as great as their weapons. Their love was as powerful as their vengeance. As night fell, the crystal forest lit up the sky. Nemesis floated above, its dark hull reflecting the lights below. It was no longer just a weapon or a warning. It was a promise. Never again would children die in the cold of space. Mary Anderson's legacy lived on in peace, in laughter, in the games of children who would never know war.